Let's start off with the CIC Insurance, which debuted trading at the market today. It was a bit of a mixed picture. It hit a high of 7 shillings and a low of 4 shillings. It was one of the second most active counter, trading about 1.6 million shares. What did you make of the first day?
Well, normally when companies list, we give them about 2 months or 3 months for for the discovery of its own price. So I guess there's going to be a bit of back and forth in the pricing. However, in my knowledge, I guess the guys long-termers, they're institutional to be particular, have actually just been weighing. Some of them have been pro the issue, but some of them have actually sat out the issue because of the other key concerns in the company.
How can we kind of forecast how this share is likely to play out on the stock market based on the other insurance companies listed, CFC Insurance and Pan-Africa Insurance?
Well, you're right. I mean, you have to look at the whole sector and how it's been performing. And year to date, it's actually been I think when you look at all 8 sectors in the market, it's been the second last. And I guess there have been whole concerns about the whole industry just being over-invested in one particular sector, which has been the equities. And of course, as you know, they were punished last year when the market lost over 30%. So I guess going forward, I think the industry needs to reorganize its own business, try to diversify into other sectors that are doing well.
So because this was an interesting one, at least they did not list by an IPO. It's more of a listing by introduction to that. Did that shield them from a bit of an aggressive market or some unfortunate share price dips?
Sure. Yeah, you're right. Well, but of course, we expect some of the shareholders who are already in the market to dump some of their stocks that they have, and some of these stocks will go back to the usual retailers that are the cause of the daily upswings of the market and downswings as well. So I guess in the long run, some of those swings are going to come through for that particular stock.
Let's talk about housing finance. Yeah. They've reported the profits. The profits are up, but much slower than many people might have expected in the growth curve, though the dividends are actually up 40%. What do you make of these numbers?
Well, it's interesting because first of all, now we are seeing actually the effect of the high interest regime that we're coming out of for the last 2 quarters.
Because that hit them seriously.
Exactly. And we're likely to see this the same story, not only for the HFCK, but for the whole sector, banking sector, chiefly because, interest rates were 80%. Actually, the one thing that really quite hit them hard was they really actually hit twice on the side of the slow uptake in mortgages because of the interest rate. They were so high, and the fact that they're paying very high interest rates on the deposits. Yes. So that same story, you're gonna see it reflect when some of these banking stocks start coming and reporting their results.
Though the interest rates are now coming down, perhaps not as fast as people would want. And I had a chat with the KCB CEO Martin Odorotieno earlier today for our weekly show in Kenya next week, and I was asking, when do we see interest rates somewhere below 15%? He doesn't seem to think that might be happening anytime soon.
Well, I think, in my view, with a kind of a slow and not really aggressive a way of easing when the CBK that have been doing when it comes to the monetary policy, I guess the intention is actually to see the interest come down to about lower than in the lower teens of maybe 11-12%. But however, this is subject to other factors like inflation and stuff like that. In my view, I think we are very hopeful. House view is actually we're going to see these interest rates come down to about 10-11% in the second half of the year, and that in itself will say that we're going to see some of these banks actually start doing business.
10-15% in the second half of the year next year. So that means we have at least 7 months,
sure.
Perhaps maybe even just under a year of high interest rates.
Yeah, sure.
An unfortunate situation, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that is not good. Now, let's move on to a development that is interesting. Kenya's I&M Bank buying a Rwandan bank, BCR rather, for about 80% of it because of its partners. What did you make of this interesting development?
Actually, it's very encouraging. It's been actually a hope and prayer for the guys in the financial industry to see the private sector, the private equity section of the market, yes, really come out of its infancy. And when you start seeing some of these deals, actually it gives hope even for other private equity funds that are out there that are not particularly in this market to start coming in and taking some taking a look at some of the companies here. And so this is a very good move. Actis coming out of its taken, in exchange with IMB coming in. We're likely to see some of these kind of moves, but perhaps in the near future, because I see there are a lot of good stocks. Companies
yes.
That hold good future value when they just have a little bit of a boost financially from,
How do Kenyan companies do in Rwanda? For instance, KCB, we have Equity Bank in that space, even Finabank. How do they do in this market?
Well, actually, it's interesting you asked that question because if you check carefully, full year results for most of the banking stocks or banking firms,
right.
actually half of their revenues came from their subsidiaries in those parts of the market, Rwanda, Burundi, in Sudan. And I guess going forward, you're likely to see more and more companies going into those sectors of the market. So I guess this is a move that you're going to see being coming through in the market.
All right, and finally, for the shilling, you think it's going to stabilize? Why is that? Very quickly.
Well, I think the shilling is going to stabilize because there's so many factors really contributing to that. One, the diaspora remittances. We're doing over $100 million month on month.
Right.
And as you say, coffee, tea prices are actually on a high. So in terms of inflows, we're going to see the shilling getting support there.
All right, Rufus, we'll leave it there. Asante sana.
Okay,
Rufus Mwanyasi, research analyst at Tsavo Securities with us, speaking about the market right now.